You think you're optimizing your life. You wear a $300 ring to tell you how you slept. You sit in a $5,000 climate-controlled ice bath. You take 12 different focus supplements every morning. You call yourself a biohacker. You think you are building an elite human machine. You are wrong. You are not building resilience. You are buying the aesthetic of discipline. You are paying thousands of dollars to completely remove the psychological friction that actually makes your brain stronger. The wellness industry has convinced you that human performance is a luxury item you can purchase. They have turned you into a dependent consumer. You are outsourcing your willpower to technology. When the technology breaks, your discipline shatters. You are using expensive gadgets as a crutch because you are terrified of raw, unfiltered biological discomfort. In this masterclass, we are going to dissect the psychology of the fake biohacker. We will expose exactly why your expensive habits are rotting your resilience, and I will give you the exact protocol to reclaim your neurochemistry. Let us establish the clinical reality of how your brain actually grows. Neuroplasticity is your brain's ability to rewire itself. It is how you build discipline. It is how you cure brain fog. It is how you increase your baseline dopamine. But neuroplasticity does not happen when you are comfortable. Your brain only changes when it is forced to adapt to stress. The entire premise of the commercial biohacking industry is to make adaptation comfortable. They sell you products designed to remove the sting of the stressor. But the sting is the entire point. A 2024 Stanford study on neuroplasticity and effort found that the dopamine reward signal in the brain is significantly higher when the psychological friction to initiate the task is intense. Read that again. The harder it is to start, the more dopamine you get when it is done. When you pay a corporation to make the hard thing easy, you rob yourself of the dopamine reward. You robbed your prefrontal cortex of the opportunity to exert top-down control over your impulsive amygdala. You are performing wellness, but you are practicing weakness. Let us break down the specific lies you have been sold, starting with the most famous one of all. Cold exposure is the holy grail of modern optimization. The clinical data is undeniable. Plunging your body into freezing water spikes your norepinephrine. It creates a massive, sustained wave of dopamine. It lowers systemic inflammation. But look at how the average man does it today. He buys a massive refrigerated tub. It has glowing LED lights. It has a continuous filtration system. It keeps the water at exactly 39 degrees. He steps out of his warm bed, walks into his garage, and steps into a perfectly engineered environment. You did not buy a stressor. You bought a luxury spa. When you spend $5,000 on an ice bath, you are attempting to domesticate the cold. You are trying to control it. The biological benefit of cold exposure comes from the thermal shock, yes. But the psychological benefit comes from the absolute dread of stepping into an uncontrolled, miserable environment. When you just turn your shower dial all the way to cold in a dark, cheap bathroom, you have to fight your own mind. There is no aesthetic, there is no cool Instagram post, there is just you, the freezing water, and the immense desire to quit. By paying to remove the dread, you are cutting the neuroplastic benefit in half. You are coddling your nervous system. Elite performers do not need a climate-controlled tub to build mental toughness. They embrace the raw friction. They seek the dread. Stop buying expensive tubs. Turn the dial to cold. Face the friction. Next, we must address the absolute tragedy of sleep technology. Millions of men wear expensive smart rings and heavy digital watches to bed. They wake up, and before they even assess how they feel, they look at a screen. They wait for an app to give them a readiness score. If the score is low, they tell themselves they are tired. They operate at 50% capacity because a machine told them they did not get enough deep sleep. You have surrendered your internal feedback loop to an algorithm. This is the peak of biological weakness. Human beings evolved to be hyper-aware of their internal states. If you need a device to tell you that you are exhausted, you are completely disconnected from your own nervous system. When you rely on sleep trackers, you develop what clinicians call orthosomnia. It is the obsessive pursuit of perfect sleep data, which ironically causes severe anxiety and ruins your sleep. You cannot hack sleep with a glowing ring. True sleep optimization requires discipline, not data. It requires turning off your screens 2 hours before bed. It requires absolute darkness. It requires early morning sunlight in your eyes to anchor your circadian rhythm. These protocols are completely free, but they require you to say no to cheap dopamine at night. You buy the ring because you do not want to say no. You want the technology to fix your lack of discipline. It never will. And we have the cognitive enhancement trap. You experience brain fog. You cannot focus on your work. You are constantly distracted by social media. Your dopamine baseline is completely destroyed. Instead of doing the hard work of a dopamine detox, you try to buy your way out of the fog. You buy a $60 bottle of proprietary nootropics. You swallow a pill filled with exotic herbs and massive amounts of caffeine, hoping it will force you to care about your work. You cannot supplement your way out of a dopamine deficit. Focus is not a pill. Focus is the absence of distraction. The reason you cannot concentrate is not because you lack a specific Himalayan root extract. The reason you cannot concentrate is because your brain is addicted to high stimulation digital garbage. When you take strong stimulants to force focus, you are just masking the underlying rot. You are whipping a tired horse. Eventually, your adrenal glands will exhaust themselves. Your cortisol will flatline. You will experience absolute burnout. If you want elite focus, you have to earn it. You have to endure the boredom. You have to remove the phone from your room. You have to sit at a blank desk and feel the agonizing withdrawal of cheap dopamine until your brain finally surrenders and does the work. Basic building blocks like creatine and L-theanine are excellent for cellular energy, but they will not save you if you refuse to do the psychological work. Stop looking for a chemical shortcut for a behavioral problem. Let us dissect the fasting industry. Fasting is the deliberate withholding of calories. It triggers autophagy. It cleanses your cells. It forces your brain to operate on ketones, which provides crystal clear cognitive function. It is the most brutal, ancient, and effective biohack in human history, and it is completely free. Yet the modern fake biohacker cannot handle the feeling of a completely empty stomach. He cannot handle the psychological friction of hunger. So what does he do? He buys a fasting mimicking diet. He buys expensive electrolyte powders heavily sweetened with artificial flavors. He buys $60 macadamia nut bars designed to keep you in ketosis. You are paying money to ruin the mechanism. The moment you consume sweet flavors, even without calories, you trigger a cephalic phase insulin response. Your brain tastes sweet, it prepares for sugar, and it spikes insulin. The moment insulin spikes, autophagy stops, cellular cleanup halts. You just sabotage the entire biological process because you were too weak to drink plain water and embrace the emptiness. Hunger is not a mistake. Hunger is a biological signal that sharpens your predatory focus. When you are hungry, your brain releases orexin and adrenaline. You become sharper, you become faster. When you consume a fasting mimicking product, you dull the blade. You choose comfort over optimization. Real fasting requires absolute zero, water and salt, nothing else. Embrace the void. The commercial wellness industry is a machine designed to harvest your insecurities. They know you want to be elite. They know you want to be disciplined. So they package discipline into a premium product and sell it back to you at a massive markup. But you cannot buy the elite standard. You have to forge it. The elite standard is defined by a relentless pursuit of psychological friction. When an elite performer looks at a protocol, they do not ask, how can I make this easier? They ask, how can I extract the maximum adaptive response from my biology? They do not use sleep trackers. They wake up and ruthlessly assess their own energy. They do not buy luxury ice baths. They stand under freezing water and fight their own panic response. They do not buy fasting bars. They drink water and endure the hunger. They do not rely on magic pills. They put their phone in another room and stare at the work until it gets done. Optimization is not what you add, it is what you endure. If you want to operate at the highest level of human capability, you have to strip away the crutches. You have to stop viewing your body as a machine that needs constant, expensive upgrades and start viewing it as an adaptive organism that requires raw, evolutionary stress. You have a choice to make today. You can continue to be a consumer. You can keep buying the aesthetic of wellness. You can keep outsourcing your discipline to corporations and remain biologically fragile. Or you could become an operator. You can reclaim your neurochemistry. You can stop paying to remove the friction and start using the friction to build an impenetrable prefrontal cortex. The protocols that actually move the needle are brutal. They are unglamorous and they are completely free. Stop performing wellness for the internet. Start practicing it in the dark. If you are ready to drop the fake biohacker identity and build genuine, elite mental toughness, subscribe to the channel. We strip away the marketing and deliver the clinical truth so you can dominate your reality. Do the hard work. See you in the next protocol.